You are now locked into the Red and Blue Rivalry Podcast, the podcast where we discuss all things San Francisco 49ers and Dallas Cowboys.
My name is Eric Hernandez, and I'm calling the faithful.
And I am Philip Enriquez, repping for America's team. But on this episode, we have to review the big game. The San Francisco 49ers defeat the Arizona Cardinals by a score of 28-25 on Thursday Night Football. The San Francisco 49ers, man, they're now 8-0, the only undefeated team left in the NFL, NFC and AFC. And in my opinion, it was probably the San Francisco 49ers' most impressive win of the season. So here's your moment.
Oh, man. I think what it really was Jimmy Garoppolo's coming out party. I mean, it feels like every time they're in prime time, someone's making plays, someone's coming out, someone's showing out. I mean, you had the Monday night game against Baker Mayfield, and it was Nick Bosa. Now Nick Bosa's all the rage. Nick Bosa's leading rookie of the year as far as defense. And then Thursday night on Halloween, I mean, it felt almost like it was going to be a trick. I mean, the Cardinals were tough. I mean, they really wanted it. And, they had talked about, to the Arizona Cardinals, this was their big game. They wanted to beat the San Francisco 49ers. They had them at home on a short week.
Yeah.
And you could tell that defense was kind of worn out. They weren't ready for what Arizona was going to throw at them. A lot of short screens, a lot of short passes, getting the ball out of Kyler Murray's hands, or if it was in his hands, he was moving around and making plays. And you could tell as far as the defense, like Bosa and Buckner, I mean, they were banged up. They were tired. 4-day rest, that's nothing.
It's a quick turnaround.
And it did cost, and I'm going to get to the negative right now. I think it did cost us our linebacker. It cost us Quan Alexander, who left with a pec injury, torn. And he's out for the year. Yeah, he's placed on IR today, right? Yeah, he was. They called up Elijah Lee from, I think, the practice squad to come in and fill that role. Drake Greenlaw will get the start in that position. It's such a big loss because, he's amazing in coverage. He's more of a coverage linebacker than anything else. He could do it all, but, you brought him over from Tampa, a big free agent, and he was the ignition, He was the fire starter. Richard Sherman was the one that kept the chips on the shoulders for everybody and make sure everyone realized, this is what they think of us. But Quan Alexander got them pumped. It's going to be sad to see him go. Him and I think Fred Warner, the other linebacker, kind of were just becoming this new duo. They were like, Bowman and Willis part 2, not as great, but like they were building towards that. And to lose him for the rest of the season sucks. But, I mean, this defense is built all the way around Nick Bosa. And then you have, D Ford, who's playing little, still gets sacks. They get pressure. So I'm excited, but I mean, it was Jimmy Garoppolo's night. It was definitely Jimmy Garoppolo's night. He ended the night with 317 yards passing to go with 4 TDs, and I think 3 of the 4 TDs were on third down. Yeah. Money downs. And with the fourth down. You kind of spoke to that last week. Yeah. And, for the first time watching, I saw it. Like, sometimes you can tell me, like, oh, he's really good on third down and stuff, but it wasn't a big moment. Like, maybe that third down just didn't stick out to me. Yeah. But these ones were like, wait, if he doesn't make that conversion, the potential for the game to go the other way, for the other team to snatch momentum, was just that one play away. Because I think if you give Kyler the ball, and I think that's why with that pressure on third down, where your defense is worn, they're not looking like they're going to hold. That was impressive. So I think this, to me, I think this is finally Garoppolo's like coming out party. And you could see it too. I mean, I think this was for everybody that didn't know or wasn't sure if he could replicate what he did in 2017. This was it. This was a callback to 2017 when he beat like Jacksonville, when, he just was on point. And I mean, the one play that I will talk about over and over again was that out route to Emmanuel Sanders. I mean, he threw it before Emmanuel even broke it out. I mean, literally turns around the balls right there. And, we think back to a year ago. It's amazing what Emmanuel Sanders can do with the quarterback. Yes. And it kind of harkens back to me for you guys last year when kind of offense was sputtering in the passing game. You get Amari Cooper and all of a sudden, bang. It clicked. Now, obviously, Amari's younger, but that example of having a reliable wide receiver, to pair with George Kittle, that last third down, that last series, I mean, the Niners were up. It felt like they were going to cruise. Bang. Kyler hits. I think Andy Isabella for 82-yard touchdown. They get the 2-point. They're only down 3. There's 5 minutes left. Everything was built for that game for the Niners to lose. Short week. They're going to go 3 and out. Their running game isn't really there. Kittle's compromised. He wasn't on the final drive.
Yeah.
And Garoppolo answered the call twice on third down. Once they converted, I think it was 3rd and 9 or 3rd and 12, where he threw off his back foot pressure. He hit Emmanuel Sanders, bang.
Yeah.
And then the last one, looks like he's going to scramble, hits backup tight end Ross Dwelly, and that's the game. And what you hope for is that, we'll talk about the other, getting ready for the big game on Monday, but now we get, even though we lost Quan, we get Joe Staley back, Mike McGlinchey back, Kyle Juszczyk back to add, hopefully with the healthy Kittle and with Emmanuel Sanders. This is probably the best you'll see off of extra rest because it's, they play Thursday. You'll see it against the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah. And, for as much credit as I want to give the San Francisco 49ers for the win on Thursday night, you know what? Your Kyle, quote unquote, Kingsbury, he really threw that game at the end of the half, in my opinion, with that timeout.
He's a rookie coach.
That bit him in the ass.
Yeah. That's rookie coaches making rookie mistakes.
Yeah. But
Cliff, I think I was thinking of Kyle Allen. I know last week I had a big gaffe, but I think I was still kind of like in awe of what they did to the Panthers. I kept thinking, oh, they did that to Kyle Allen. They'll do it to Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah, for sure.
But they came out intense and they wanted it, and we get another chance in a few weeks.
And then they started to figure out, I think that they go up tempo, knowing that your defense was gassed, and they kind of just took advantage of that at a certain point. Yeah,
I mean, it was a lot closer than I thought, but I mean, we talk about it all the time. Divisional games, short week, it kind of levels the playing field.
Yeah,
and
big time. And
so it was, sometimes you just want to get out with the win. And just keep.
That's what good teams do, man. They have bad games and they come out with the win.
Yeah,
and that's the way you got to look at that. So let's go eyes forward. Seattle Seahawks are going to Santa Clara to take on the 49ers. The 49ers are opening up as a 6.5-point favorite at home. What should we expect in this game? What should we be looking out for?
This is the MVP of the league against one of the best defensive lines in the league, if not the best. It is Russell Wilson going up against Nick Bosa and Dee Ford and DeForest Buckner and Eric Armstead, and to see what he can really do. This is a test not just for us, but for him as well.
Right.
Man, I'm excited.
Like Gorilla Monsoon says we were saying, right?
Yeah, it's the immovable force, unstoppable object kind of thing.
Immovable object.
Immovable object, unstoppable force. And we're going to see what wins out. Russell Wilson's just great.
This is the 49ers of WrestleMania 3.
This really is.
Hulkamania could either be born or it could just...
Yeah, just kind of, it takes a step back. Yeah. He's got to slam Andre. They have to be able... And there's no excuses. They've had prolonged rest. They're at home. They're getting all their offensive players back. Everyone should be healthy for this game. And the more I look at it, it's just Russell Wilson. It's literally him.
It is. Look at the stats. 2,505 yards on a 68% completion percentage. 22 touchdowns against just one single interception. I can't remember the last time I ever seen a stat line like that.
Yeah.
It's amazing. This is like all-time great.
He is going to be hard to defend. But I think the key is to not let him out of that pocket. Make him scramble within the pocket, if you know what I mean. Don't let him scramble to his left, to his right. Don't let him set his feet.
Yeah, don't let him get outside.
No. Yeah. And you have to kind of make him kind of, juke and jive inside the pocket, looking for either a crease to get out to throw. And you got to collapse the pocket then. If we've seen it. If you try to rush him, he'll roll right out, left or right, or he'll scoot under, duck under. He's so small. He'll get through between a guard and a tackle, and then he's got free reign.
Yeah.
And he's got two giant receivers now. I mean, Josh Gordon will be there. You have DK Metcalf.
Yeah.
You still got Lockett. So I think the key for the Niners is on offense, continue to be balanced. Make sure you're running the ball. They shouldn't have a problem. I don't think Seattle's defense is nearly what it was in the past years.
No, it's definitely not.
No, I mean, Tampa Bay just lit them up.
Yeah.
Cleveland scored on them. Everybody has gotten the piece on them.
Yeah.
So
it can be had.
Yeah. So I think the Niners are going to be able to run the ball. I got Kittle, Juszczyk, Emmanuel Sanders. They can have a big game. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think the Niners are going to be able to score. Can Seattle keep pace for that long?
The 5 touchdowns that he scored against Tampa Bay is one thing.
Yes.
Now going up against a front four like the 49ers is another. But what I will say is you're going to have to get that pressure with the front four.
Yes.
Because I seen him beat the shit out of the blitz against Tampa Bay.
Yes.
Those were where the touchdowns came from. Whenever they blitzed him, I mean, it was amazing just how fast he was able to react to it. I don't know if it's a mental thing or a physical thing, but he's 2 steps ahead of the blitz. Yeah. It's like begging him for a big play. And he'll make it on you like that. So I think that's why I'm saying it. If they get the pressure with the front 4, there's no way he's putting up 5 touchdowns against that Niner defense. But if you guys aren't and you start having to send an extra guy, it can mean some big plays. Yeah,
you don't want to have to do that, especially against him. But then you also have Richard Sherman, and I mean, you got to figure Richard Sherman knows Russell Wilson pretty well. I mean, they kind of come up together in Seattle. He knows his tendencies.
That's true. Didn't think about that.
Yeah, no, he knows his reads and his keys a little bit. I'm sure Russell Wilson has evolved as a quarterback since Richard Sherman has left, but there's still some things that I bet Richard Sherman can look at and say, okay, I know what he's gonna do. I know what he sees because I've been in the practice room with him. I've been on the field in practice with him. I know how he thinks.
Right.
Which is going to be helpful. I mean, he's going to help those young defensive players. You got to force him. You got to force him in that pocket, and you got to get him down. You cannot let him break free. No. Because the minute, if you're Nick Bosa, you miss him, or you're Dee Ford, you're screwed. Right. And they've had some success. I mean, a guy like Eric Armstead, who's been playing amazing. I think he's second in the team with sacks. Contract year. I mean, he's had he's known for being able to give Russell Wilson some fits. It wasn't DeForest Buckner last few years. It was Eric Armstead. So I do think that the Niners defense will be able to kind of hold Seattle at bay. And our offense, I mean, I'm excited to see what this offense looks like with, all of the weapons. Kyle Shanahan extra weeks to prepare. This running attack is legit. We're getting our fullback. I mean, I was telling you, with Kyle Juszczyk, they were averaging almost 200 yards on the ground.
Yeah.
And without him, they're 152 yards, which is still pretty good.
That's good.
But 200 yards is something special.
That's a 50-yard difference, though.
Yeah. So, and then he's an option as, in the passing game. But at the end of the day, this is the big game. This is the biggest game that they've played in a very, very long time, since probably that NFC Championship game against Seattle in Seattle.
So what do you have as the final score of this very, very big game?
I got it 49ers 31, and I got it Seattle 21.
Close game.
Yeah, I think it's close.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, I think I'd give the edge to Seattle if they were at home. But going to Santa Clara with the extra rest, I'm going to go with you. I'm going to say San Francisco takes the win.